How's it been, my friend?
Oh man, it's pretty good, man. I would say, yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
Good,
Yeah,
good,
no complaints.
good. Me neither. Me neither. A little hot, right? A little hot,
Yeah, I mean it's
but it's out of my
summertime.
control, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, it's summertime, so
Yeah, yeah, it's
it's the
good.
seasons.
That's right. That's right. It'll
Yeah,
be
man.
cold before we know it.
Yep,
Before we jumped into today's quote, I did want to just take a second as the teacher and me to kind of like recap from the last time that we talked,
of course.
right?
Yeah.
And so was there anything that you can kind of like think about that you reflected on over the last couple weeks, where something that you looked at was you were mindful of what it actually was and not the symbol that it represented?
So see, this is the part where I didn't journal, but because like the thought of it did come across my mind. Like it's just, I know last week we talked about like it's just ones and zeros, like for things like Facebook and stuff like that. Um, what was it that came up, man? Like it was something, and it was just like, um, man, I can't even think about it right now. This is the problem why I need to start journaling. But it was something that came up through the course of the week, where it was like, man, this is just, just something simple. Like it's not as big as, um, the symbol of it. Like we're trying to make it as the symbol, but it was, dang it, man. See, this is why I need to journal.
Yeah, journaling, journaling is a big deal. It's funny because I just celebrated my 46th birthday last week, and I don't know if it's like the whole midlife crisis thing is like a legit thing, but
Yeah.
like I don't have like expendable income like out the wazoo or anything, but I could go for like a larger purchase, right? I paid off the car. I was like, oh, you know what? There are certain cars that are coming out or that have come out. I'm like, oh, you know what? In my life right now, I could go for a nice Ford Mustang, right? I could, right, I could. I could go back to some of the muscle cars that they're trying to reintroduce. And then I just thought about it, and I was like, I mean, I drive around like a little old Hyundai Elantra. That was when I just needed something to commute to work, right? Like it had four tires, had
Yeah.
the steering wheel, right? Gets me where I need to be. And I was like, I don't really want a $700 a month payment for like a car that's charged, right? Like it's going to serve the same exact purpose, right?
Yep.
The function is the same, and so I ultimately talked myself away from buying it. To be honest with you,
Really.
yeah, yeah. So it was, and I think that like the impulsivity is like, oh, I want something new, right? Like I'm getting closer to 50. I'm in a spot where I can get that muscle car, but like what value would it bring to my life? And really the answer is nothing, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not 21 trying to like show off and get friends because I got a nice car.
Yep.
So yeah, I just think little things like that I think are cool about kind of reframing what we're thinking, why we're thinking it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you sure you didn't want to like, have the drop top with, let your hair blow in the wind?
Just going all over the place. If it blows any further, it'll be out the window.
All right. There we go,
Um,
man.
but what's awesome about what you just said is a great segue into today's session, right? Um, and so I let's just put it this way. Sometimes it's about like working within a framework. Um, and of all of the principles that we talked about last time around stoicism and some of the major pillars or components of stoicism, the one today that we'll really kind of dig into, and we'll probably dig into it a lot over the next 50 episodes or whatever it is this idea of dichotomy of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we're going to highlight today is like we can't control what other people think of us and what they say about us or what they say to us. Like we can't control that stuff. But we can control how we perceive ourselves and like our self-awareness. Like if you take a step back and think about like how you view yourself and why you view yourself that way and how other people could view you differently, right? And so
Yep.
the quote we're going to borrow today is from Seneca. And I'm not sure if like you'll display it or I have it written down, but when whoever's watching the videos and listening, go ahead and unpack some stuff around Seneca. Like we said last time, we're not really going to give like the biographies of these thinkers, but Seneca was a senator in ancient Rome, I
Yep.
believe, and so he had at that point, power, prestige, right? Like, um, but one thing that he is quoted as saying is sneers and those who point their wit with insult are robbed of an excuse if you anticipate it with a move on your part. No one becomes a laughingstock who laughs at himself. That's from Seneca. And like, just like that's why I said it's like a perfect segue. Like, I know I have been balding since I was in high school, right? Like, I used to have such nice hair. Like, my mom would hate it anytime I went to the barber shop or got it cut because she just loved my hair. I had really good hair. And then all of a sudden I was in high school and I'm wearing a hat all the time, and that's part of it. And we have like male balding is a common thing in my family. And by the time I got out of high school, I had already started seeing it thinning and receding, and I started shaving my head. And my mom, I mean, I was 17 and 18 at this point, and she's just like, I'm almost in tears. I'm not exaggerating. She like loved my hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm so accustomed to like bald jokes at this point that like I'm aware of it, everyone. I am bald, I am glistening, right? Right? Like the top down isn't gonna blow any hair through my wind, like wind through my hair. Like that's not the thing. But is to bring levity to it, right?
Yep.
At, I could really have hurt feelings over it, right? If it was something that I either was self-aware of or just self-conscious of and had this esteem issue around it, right? The fact is, regardless of whether or not I wish I had my hair back, the way I want people to view me, if I grow up my hair, dude, I'm not even lying. Like, I joke with my wife about this regularly. Everything on the side and the back is the same thing as when I was 16. Like, it is thick, it is dark, right? But it is like old school 70-year-old man up here.
Yeah, man.
And I was like, I'm not going to be that person. I'm not. Maybe when I'm a grandfather, maybe then I'll be like, the hell with it. I don't want to shave anymore. I own that old man halo.
So in this
But
context, I'm the sneer then.
yes, right. You bring it on, right? You bring it in. You got some wit. You got some, attacks coming this way. But if you are self-aware and don't really tie yourself down to, it's an insult, right? Like, if we weren't friends, right, and we didn't play around with one another, and we I'm just meeting you, and you seem kind of sending, and you're like, oh, look at this bald guy, right? Like, it could come across differently, but
Yeah.
it's still the same. I'm still bald. Doesn't matter if we're a good relationship, if I find you to be a some colorful words, right? Like either way, I still don't have the hair, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's a good segue into kind of unpacking this.
Right. Right on. Right on. So you want my reaction now, right?
Yeah, let's go for it. Well,
Uh,
before I just let me just give
yeah.
this
Yeah.
in layman's terms, just in case. So if you're following with us, like, because it took me a little while, like I said in the last recording, like, I look at these quotes the day before that we meet, because my mind just does not. I need time to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't be put on the spot, which I give you a lot of credit for, like, just seeing this for the first time and then trying to think our way through it. But when I read it, I was like, sneers and those who point their wit with insult, that's like a lot to kind of like bring together. And basically what it's telling us is, if you take control of a joke or an insult by laughing at yourself or acknowledging your own flaws first,
Yep.
like, the insult loses every value, right? Like,
Yep.
you really don't want to put any stock in what somebody else is saying anyway, because like, you can't control that. If it's out of your control, you shouldn't worry about it. But we are human, and we are going to some things are going to rile us up. But if you turn around and you think, oh, I want people to see me with luscious hair. I want them to be like, oh, you know what, that bald head, that is exactly what you're supposed to have, right? And if somebody says something counter to that,
Yep.
and I get hurt feelings, now I have given away all self-control, right? And by making it a point to make it a joke, or just being aware that I mean, regardless, I'm bald, right? Like, you just kind of, you take the power and the insult, the sting away. So, all right. So your take. What's your hot take on this?
I mean, it's just that, man. I think of it from two ways. Like, one being the sneer. Like, am I really using insults to as my way of being witty versus another form of joking? But I think that's one of those things that as guys you just kind of do. But then, the flip side of it is, I've ran for office before, and people will say whatever they want about you. So the only thing that you can control is, your mind and your whatever your capacity. So, and one thing is, you do have to laugh at yourself. I remember all those times, like looking at myself after watching an interview that I did, and I was like, man, that was funny. And I think I shared on Facebook a couple couple of weeks ago a post where I was about to be on the news, and then one thing I said about the comment was like, man, I was fluffy. But it's just I think you kind of think of it from both ways. It's like, am I expressing myself as someone that is attacking someone, try to to be condescending, that type of thing. So if I am, why? And then two, what is it that will control me in certain situations? If someone says certain things about me, am I able to laugh those things off as well? So it's like like both sides come out when I reflect on that now.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, 100%. And God bless you for trying to do to make your mark and help the city in the different avenues that you've looked into. And I mean, because part of it is the amount of open criticism that we face, right? And this is in general, just generally, we're going to face criticism. But I think to your point, to see ourselves as both the person who is able to navigate someone's insults prior to the insult being given, but
Hmm.
also to be mindful of the being the one that's doing the insulting,
Yep.
right? Because I mean, how many relationships, when they're talking about lack of communication, like and this level of respect, how many relationships is are hindered or broken or hurt because you don't have the forethought to think about what the words that you're not saying,
Yep.
how they come across, right? Because
Yep.
I'm not, every interaction I have with someone is not going to be like, hey, I'm going to give you a prelude first. That was my dog. But I'm not going to give a prelude to everything that we say, right? I'm not going to say, oh, I'm about to joke with you for the next 2 minutes about X, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just going to come off the cuff, and but to be aware in both instances, and also to understand that the person that's saying it, we'll talk about this later in the show at some point, but it's also about understanding that other people are ignorant, and not ignorant as in they're rude, right? But ignorant as in they just might not see things and see the world with an intelligent lens that you might be looking at it.
Yep.
And if it's their natural inclination to make fun of things, to like, a lot of people like to make fun of things is one of their armors, right? It's a way to like engage into someone. I mean,
Yep.
we had, it's you mentioned about boys, but man, as a teenager, man, we ribbed on each other all day, every day.
No, yeah, that was part of like just growing up, and
Right.
dishing out, receiving it, what have you. But then, at some point, you get to the point where the joke hurts for
Yep.
whatever reason, or you let that particular comment affect you. Maybe it's a particular, you know, touchy subject or what have you. But it is just kind of interesting because from at face value, if you're just out and about or just publicly or whatever, you don't know necessarily what that particular trigger point is. So it's really it's kind of hard. One, if you're the one making a joke, or two, like when the public is saying things about you, right? You don't know, they don't know what could particularly be a trigger point for something that's incredibly offensive. Like it could just be a joke. But I think nowadays, like from a societal perspective, we see everybody taking everything offensively. So there is no room for joking, no room for anything, and a lot of people don't know how to make fun of themselves or don't know how to, just be, just like I said, just make fun of themselves, right? Because everybody nowadays is the master, the experts, the best thing since sliced bread in their own world. So anything that's said against those things is harmful. Let's say that.
Yeah, 100%. and it's, your mom's going to tell you that, you are the best, right? How many of us, have inflated sense of self because of the family unit, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not blaming parents, right? Like, you want your kids to have good self-esteem, right? Like, you you want to build them up, but like you said, to not have that understanding that, like, somebody's going to look at you and they're not going to love you the way that your mother does.
Yep.
Like, they're just not. So, I've got these notes that I have for the show, that we can make accessible and everything. But I just think it's funny that, like, I'm sitting here right now, what I think the trajectory of the conversation could go, and, like, you're just leading us exactly where, and I love it about it. I love it, because a couple things that come to mind. One is, in a few minutes, I'm going to bring up the idea of, like, let's just go ahead and be vulnerable and kind of bring this, like, what was said that, or done, that was said either jokingly or mockingly, but it was really is something that you've held on to, and we'll talk that in a minute. But as an educator, I think where I start to reflect on this is, we're not the same person. I mean, yes, we're the same person, but we are not the same person every single day, every single moment, right? Like, our emotions are different, our sleep patterns can be disrupted, right? The mood that I'm in, and when, as an educator, when I see kids, like, kind of picking on each other, right? We call it bullying, we could
Yep.
call it whatever, right? But there's a reason why kids get into either physical or verbal assaults, or some kind of conflict, and usually that's because you're playing right now, but that's because you're both in a playful mood,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
you can say the same exact thing to me tomorrow, and if I had a bad day at work, I'd be like, dude, you gotta go after yourself. Right? Like, it's different because I'm not the same person in
Yeah.
the same exact. We're not in a silo, in a vacuum where, like, I'm going to take everything exactly the same. You got to know the audience, but you also need to know yourself and check yourself. If you know you're having a bad day, like, you need to know that I am really sensitive today. Like, I didn't sleep well. I'm stressed at work. Got some conversations with the wife that are just kind of like, there's just a lot on me. I can't play the same way because, hey, if I'm saying something, it's not going to come across in the same manner.
Yep.
And if you said something to me, I'm going to take it a way that maybe not was intended. And if you said it yesterday when I was okay, it would have just been a joke, right? So it's
Yep.
it's one of those things to kind of really dig into. So I
Now,
just
does
want
does
to say,
caffeine make a difference?
no, I mean, I've been trying to lay off the coffee, but these energy drinks, man, yeah, man.
Yeah, be careful, man. Which ones do you drink though?
Oh, what do I drink? I got this one thing called, like, cherry pop, dude. I got it from Target once, and then they stopped selling it. It was just on an end cap, and I was, like, real tired that day, and I was like, I already drank 2 coffees. I need something just to get me through this afternoon, and I had it. And now every day I drink it in the morning.
It's
5:30 in
called
the
cherry
morning.
pop.
Yeah,
What is
it's
it?
called cherry pop, dude.
That's the brand name.
Yeah, yeah. You remember? Yeah, it's just a red and silver can. You remember, like, Kmart used to have, like, the ices, like the blue and
Yeah.
red icy things, right? It just tastes like the red one, just
Oh
not
wow.
frozen. Right. So I'll go out for a walk in the morning and earn that energy drink for the day.
Oh man, the
Yeah.
Celsiuses are good for me, but I've been drinking the V8 energies now.
Uh,
Uh, I know that's boring, but yeah,
you're my brother, man. V8.
I mean it's not the vegetable juice. It's they got the regular energy drinks.
Yeah, I'm staying. Lately, it's funny. I'm drinking this orange creamsicle one too.
Okay.
So, like, and I think it's from Alani, right? So, like, in the morning, I got my cherry pop. Then around 3:30, 4 o'clock, I get this orange. So it's different
The
both times
second
of my
boost.
day. But yeah, man. Because if not, I'm gonna sleep at 7:30. Like, it's
Oh
gonna
man.
happen.
Oh wow.
Waking up awfully early.
Wow.
Um, all right. So, personal connection. I'll say I like to be vulnerable. Honestly, like, I think that's how you grow as a person. Um, I'll give you something that I remember, two flashpoints. And as I'm talking, like, you ask me questions, whatever you want to do, but I'm asking you to be as, vulnerable as you can be in this space. So when I was, I've never, well, I won't say I was never, like, I was pretty svelte for a little bit. But my life has been like a roller coaster with like, am I heavy, am I skinny? It just depends on like where I am mentally, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how much time I devote to going to the gym or working out, and how much I just kind of, I'm just tired. I just want to sit around, do nothing for 2 years. so
For two
so,
years.
so yeah. So because habits form, right? And so when I was, I guess it was like 1991. I just remember. You remember when the original Batman came out, Michael Keaton, and
Mm-hmm.
like that whole. I'm trying to think. Jack Nicholson, I think, was the Joker. I was huge into Batman, and one of the things that hurt my feelings the most when I was like 10 or 11. Now, obviously, I'm telling you, like I'm a chunky kid. Like it's just what it was, and I was short. Like right now, I'm starting to shrink a little bit, but I'm still quite a bit over 6'1". And but when I didn't hit my growth spurt until I was a junior in high school. At sophomore year, I was like 5'3". I was real short. So I
Oh
was
wow.
I was I was I was I was in shape like a circle. But see, like it's just like the disarming thing. Like if you
Yep.
said it to me, like I wouldn't be offended because like, dude, you look at pictures, it is what it is. Um, so Batman had come out, and I put uh, this Batman shirt on. Like it was just like what everybody was wearing, like the boys who like Batman and stuff, right? Like I had a Batman shirt, a Joker shirt, like it was like all over the place. And one day I was hanging out. My brother is 4 years younger than I am, but he and I were, and he's been a freaking toothpick, just same jeans. I just don't understand. He's been a toothpick his entire life. And we were hanging out with some friends by the corner store, and like we had like I had some my friends and he had his, but we're all in the neighborhood, right? Like it's just like a cluster of us. It's like 14, 15 of us. And he and I were going back and ribbing on each other. And he started singing the Batman song. But dude, he's like, na 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 na, fat man. And like immediately punched him in the face. Like immediately busted his nose wide open. I didn't like it was not a thought. It was just like that gut
Just
response.
instant instinct. Yeah.
And I was like, and I think like as I was like, because then I'm going to be in trouble because like he's being rude to me, and like I like legitimately busted his nose open. So then we gotta go into the house, and my mom, I already know it. Like I got a second child syndrome going on, right? Like I'm in the middle, so I was like, oh, and he's the baby. It's going to be this whole thing. I go in the house and they're like, "What happened to your brother?" And I punched him. What the hell you punch him for? Well, then I tell him, and like really, they did a good job as parents of like navigating like that kind of tension. Um, but I just remember the initial response, right? Like that, I don't have a chance to even think this through. It was just innate response.
Yeah.
And one of the things about stoicism is pausing between taking information in and responding, right?
Yep.
Uh, and that moment, like I'm saying that without looking it up, but it's around 1991. So we're talking 35 years ago, and I can still tell you two or three of the people that were there, how it went down. Like I just remember like that
Yeah.
flashpoint um, of of not just being able to be self aware, because even then, if I'm thinking back, like I understood I was a heavy kid, but not being able to accept the fact that other people were going to see that and acknowledge that on their behalf, right?
Yeah.
Not being able to arm myself with, hey, look, people, including family,
Yeah.
are going to call you out on
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Do you feel like I guess do you feel like your family should have prepared you for that, or like?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think they did the best. I mean, I love my dad. He passed away years ago, but and I say this with all love and respect. But man, he would give it to me. Like he would tell me, like we gotta go to like Kmart to buy some pants, but we gotta go get the Huskies, right? Because
Yeah.
like I
I
can't
remember the
do it.
Huskies, man. I was in the Husky section too.
Right? And he would say stuff like, next time I'm gonna have to, if you don't watch yourself, I'm gonna have to take you to Bilbo the tent maker. Like he was giving it to me like subtly.
So
Right?
let me ask then, do you think that you know how people have like those boiling points, do you think maybe maybe I can't react a certain way against my dad, but if I'm out with friends or just people my age, my size, there maybe I can react a little bit different.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think really it's just about like that idea of survival, right? Like you don't want to be the kid that gets picked on all the time, right? You don't want to be bullied. You don't want to be seen as like this weak person, right? And taking jabs from everyone. So I think it all kind of plays into it. It's probably a little bit of frustration. It's probably like, well, this is a truth. Um, but how you handle it, right?
Yeah.
Because there you hear people that are like, oh well, from that point, like I just decided to start working out because like I
Yeah.
wanted to change, right? Because you can change that is stuff when we're talking about things that are outside your control. Like some people it's genetic and you're going to be heavy because genes plays a part of it, but eating a half pint of ice cream every night also plays a part of it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so yeah, so I do think there is something. I think it was just like and I think if I'm really being honest, I think it's also like who's saying it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like if it's like my guy friends who are like my friends, right? Like my friends, I probably, I mean, I don't know because it didn't happen, but I would think that I would probably just rib back. Like,
Yeah.
you call him fat, you just poor, right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah.
know, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, we could go back and forth. But I think it was like the who and the what and the intention behind it. And like that level of like, how could you be this disrespectful in front of our friends as like somebody I'm supposed to like I mean, I know he's 4 years younger than me, but like at that point, like you're supposed to have each other back, and you're throwing me out there like that. I don't need that
Yeah.
kind of assault, right? Right?
Yeah.
And he and I, we're very close. So
Could
like,
it be too then? Yeah, I was just thinking about this because when we talked about at the beginning about one being the sneer yourself, and then two like being able to make fun of yourself, right? So sometimes you're the one dishing it out, and the other time you're putting yourself in a position to take it, so to speak. Um, Now, could it be though, like you didn't have anything back to say, right? So like if you're in that position of unable to be the sneer, right? Because if you're kind of in that, like, I don't know, situation, like you want to be able to dish something back, or just say something witty, and if you don't really have much on that person or something to sneer about, it's kind of like everything's like hitting you in the face, you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, good point. Yeah, and I think it's also like just that there's like a cognitive piece to it. Like I'm not a cognitive scientist, but I would work on the assumption that there are certain things that if you're not that engrossed in it, right? Like if it's something that like, okay, you joke about my hair, all right, like I could care less, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I think like as a person, there are certain things that you just hold tightly to, right? Like if somebody were to say something to me, I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. Like that's just who I've grown into being. Um, and I'm just ready to arm myself against like all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But you could say the same exact thing with the same tone to someone I care about, and like my response is different, right? Unless I'm really actively trying to, and we could talk about the virtues. I mean, maybe it's a virtue to, stick up for yourself, right? Because it takes courage to do certain things. It
Yeah.
takes justice, or like this idea of like what is just and what is right, and you know, I think it really just depends on like where you're living with this stuff. Like, what is at if you do like a root cause analysis, like why that comment from that person, why would there be such a strong response, right? And then
Yeah.
I think if like in this example, my response was an immediate punch. There was no pause, and the pause doesn't come until later, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we can take this like the big ideas about consequences for actions that are just involuntary, right? Like you just did it, right?
Yeah.
um but I mean, if you go to and do like a root cause analysis and you keep on going back 5 6 steps and you're trying to figure out the why, I mean, my general feeling in this conversation, without really digging into it too much further, is it was probably something that was like deep down something I was ashamed of,
Yeah.
right? Whether I could change it, whether I couldn't at that point, like, you're 11 years old, you're immature, you don't know much about life in general. So, but maybe that is just something that was this, that trigger. But I've also seen kids, and that's the thing, right? Like that's why I say as a seer, right, or as
Yeah.
the person who is doing the sneeing, right, the person who is antagonizing. I've seen people that when I was like in high school that were much larger than me,
Mm-hmm.
and you could call them all names under the sun about being fat, and like just no response, right? Like there was like a level of self awareness. They just didn't care, right? Like that's the best you got. Okay, so I'm 400 pounds,
Yeah.
but you know what? X, right? But they would have had something. So yeah. So what about you? What is something that you can kind of think back to?
Man, this one's tough, man, because I honestly feel like I don't know. I might have a problem because I maybe suppress trigger traumatizing moments. Man, but while I'm trying to think about, it, I'll say this, man. I think I've always been like long on the pause because I really never could think of anything witty to say in certain situations. But if you gave me a day to think about it, I come up with all the witty jokes to come to come back. The your mama jokes when I was growing up, they really didn't have any effect on me, and honestly, I maybe thought something was wrong with me for them not having an effect on me because my thought process was always, well, you don't know my mama, so how you gonna,
Right. Right.
how you, how you so and there was kind of like that. On the flip side of what you were saying, there was that expectation of reaction when some people would say certain things, and I was never one to like immediately react in situations. I would be there like for my sister and stuff, but I was always like my sister. I was the oldest, and my sister, was next to me, and she was 2 years younger than me. But she was the talker. I was the quiet one. So, she would always try to start stuff, and I was never one to just go along because that was my sister. If there was something that was offensively done to her, like then I would definitely stand up. But I was always like, well, what did you do?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know
What
you,
kind of trouble am I get into for something you did, right?
like yeah, because I know you. So man, this one's kind of tough about, but I will say like, um, I don't know if they really like things like really affected me to that end, but uh, being in the public eye, recently over the past 5 years or so, people assume things about you that, one of them is that, I'm not smart and that sounds weird, but that I'm not, smart and I'm always being controlled by someone else. Right. I've been, fortunate to meet some pretty prominent people locally and nationally, and work with, on various initiatives and engagements. One of them being, suing the Baltimore City Public Schools. So I hope you don't get in trouble. Uh,
Hey man, we're
but
friends. Whatever you all got, right?
yeah, man. So, but it's but even with that, it's I get called like I get called not black for being, for certain things. I don't know, maybe that's a big one right there. Um, I don't know if this is, yeah. All right. So, growing up, like I'm not sure if it's obvious or not, but I am African American, black, whatever. And as I was growing up, there were, people in my family, people in my community that would say things like, "You're not black because you're smart," right? And so I've always kind of had this, I guess, battle or in my head about, should I be smart? Should I not be smart? Should I try to act dumb in certain situations, or should I really share that I know certain things? Um, and it's just kind of like that kind of thing. Like there were ten African American students that graduated in our class, and there was 300 kids in the class, and there were 10 black kids in the whole class where I grew up. And it was the people in the black community that would always, kind of say, You're making us look bad, because I graduated at the top of the class,
Look at you.
right?
Look
And
at
then,
you.
kind of everybody. There was me, and then, the other nine kind of graduated somewhere near 250 and below. But, but, they would say things like, "You're making us look bad," and it wouldn't just come from people in the class. It would come from, like family members. Even to the point of saying like, "You set the bar too high." Like, black people are not supposed to be smart. So, it just came. It just provided this kind of identity crisis, so to speak. Like, if I'm black, what am I supposed to be? And I guess, maybe along the line of I learned to live with it. Like, you start joking about it. Yeah, so what, but I think it is one of those things that maybe still kind of bothers me, as I reflect on this, because it's like the people I'm supposed to be around, my family, don't accept me for, God gave me this brain. I don't know. But then, on the flip side, it's like, uh, you know, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, who am I supposed to be reaching? I don't know. Like, I just have those thoughts that kind of go through my head.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, first of all, I mean, one of the things about being, I don't know, being a practicing Christian, or the idea that I really dig into the Stoic philosophy and really study and reflect, is I believe that I have become more empathetic as time has gone on, right? That to really sit and listen to someone else's story, and not trying to like jump in, not just trying to figure out a place in this discourse where I belong, but really to truly hear people, and especially when they're being vulnerable and like being honest. You tend to, at least I do, I tend to examine not only like what they're feeling, right, and trying to really like, apologies don't really, they are what they are, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that I could ever say or do to make an amends for something like that. Like that experience is what it is.
Yeah.
But I do think it allows you to interact with other people in a different way, right? And so first, I just want to say thanks for being, transparent and vulnerable and taking some space with us. The other thing I would say is what I thought was really interesting about this, just as a general thing, is I was big nerd over here. Like I was watching wrestling last night, and one of the promoters, one of the managers, had talked about like how family lets you down, right? Like that was
Mm,
one of his like talking points. And in both of our vignettes, or both of our little anecdotes, we both talked about people in the family who that's where you resonate with,
mm.
right? And why would that be, right? That is, the people that are supposed to build you up, and I know we want to make sure that people are self-aware and this world is not yours, it is, we do need to balance, telling our kids that they might be the center of your life, but they're not the center of everybody's life, right? Right?
Yep.
Like you can make these kind of things, and these kind of parallels, but I think there is some power that I'm wondering the people who are watching or listening to this, like if they're reflecting upon their life and something that's happened to them, that they allowed somebody's words or actions to dictate how they felt about themselves or had them question themselves. I wonder which one they're going to pull first. Because it could be like random Joe Schmo from the ninth grade. Like kids are mean, dude, right?
Yeah.
Like they just are. They always have been. They will be, right? You put a whole bunch of kids in a building together, all hell is ready to be broken loose,
Yep.
right? That's just what it is, right? It's its own dynamic. But you go into those buildings and you know the social dynamics there. If you've been in school long enough, you know the likelihood of somebody saying or doing something that's going to bother you is high. It is
Yep.
going to happen.
Yep.
But I think the fact that both of us were able to pin a time where it was something that was said by somebody that was relatively close to us has you question yourself more, more so.
Yep.
I just thought that was a neat little connection.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, those are the people you allegedly spend the most time with, and have the most influence on you. And I don't think you really realize how much especially later on in life when you have or presume you have a level of control, you don't realize how much that influence really affects you, you know? And I think that's where examining and evaluating, oneself against whether it's like the biblical principles or stoic principles, you really kind of start to see those things about yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's. I think I do think it's very interesting because you think the family, man, that they love me, they want the best for me, but at the same time, in a lot of us, from siblings, parents, that's where we experience the most trauma that we have to unpack and really kind of overcome to be the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah, and how much of that, now this is going to go off topic a minute, but I mean, how much of that is also around like safety, right? So like, I was just thinking about our youngest, right? Like our youngest um, is a firecracker. Like she is strong-willed, um, and she is as good as gold at school, right? She is as sweet as pie, with her soccer team and gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
But she gives her mom the what for sometimes, right? And like nothing that we can't discipline. It's not like the house is on fire or anything. But if you're a parent, you understand like your kids present to you sometimes differently than they do in the outside world. And I was talking to somebody years ago about this, and they said, it's like this level of safety, like comfort. Like you can say something to your mom and she's still going to love you.
Yeah.
Where this world would like spit you out, right? And so there is that space. And so like the question that I have just thinking this out is like, would my brother have said something like that to someone else?
Yeah.
Right? Or would somebody in your family who is doing that to you, would they have actively pursued it and said it to someone else? Or was it because of that nucleus? They felt more like we had our guard down, but they were also more perceptible of what they could say in like an authentic criticism,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I mean,
Um,
even thinking about that, just like what you can say and the whole idea too of safety. Like I was the oldest child, and we grew up in a household of four, and there are things that my two youngest siblings will say to my parents that I could never imagine saying to my parents.
yeah.
like, are y'all seriously saying that to them? Like, so to this day, I don't use any profanity, right? And my siblings, they cussing in front of my parents. Like, I'm like, wow, like, okay, like this is weird. But it's also interesting too. I just remember kind of growing up because I left home around 17, 18. So at 17, after I graduated, I was I was kind of out the house, off and on from there. But definitely 18 on, I was out. But so my siblings, they were much younger. I had my sister; she was 2 years younger than me. But my next sister beyond that was 6 years younger than me, and my brother 7 years younger than me. So at 18, my little brother's 11, my little sister's 12, and I'm out the house. So that kind of like those middle school years, I wasn't around. Not only was I out the house, I moved out of state. So they kind of fault me for not being around,
Oh man.
which I wasn't. But even in that though, they would call me to get them out of trouble. You know what I mean? So so I was still somehow viewed as the one that had the get out of jail free card for them. They would call me and, hey, can you talk to your parents? That's what they would say at that point. Can you talk to your parents because I did something.
Well, maybe you
Yeah.
shouldn't have cursed at them.
Right. Right. But I just think it's just kind of interesting, like the trouble they were able to get into versus the trouble I never could think about getting into. With the same parents. I guess the household was a little different when I was out the house. But I don't know. But it's the same parents. Same. They raised us the same way for the most part. And yeah, I don't know. It's just maybe that safety and comfort factor kind of played into it. So it is interesting.
It is interesting. All right. So, for time's sake, I'm going to share these show notes with you later. But I did put something on here about like there's some things that are happening, like that have happened in pop culture, that show that this idea of where power can be taken back if you can anticipate what someone else might think or say, whether you're just self-aware or you just know the person that's going to come at you, right? Like if I met, you know, like I said, like if I was 11 and I had the same kind of level of maturity and emotional cognizance, that if I was aware that I was a heavy kid and kids that are heavy can be made fun of pretty easily because of their weight, right? And I
Yeah.
was aware that, okay, they're not speaking a fallacy. Like I'm overweight and I'm wearing a shirt that goes right into rhyming Batman with Fat Man, right? If I could have like understood that what could have come, maybe I would have paused.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, set myself up for that one, right? And I think that's kind of the point is sometimes, whether we mean it or not, we're setting ourselves up for somebody else to have like an attack on us. And it's not like blame the victim or anything. It's just like you sometimes forget that. I mean, I'm just listening to or thinking about when I hear people say, I can't stand being recorded. I don't like the way I sound.
Hmm.
Right? Like how many people say, "Oh, I hate listening to myself because I can't stand it." Well, what do you think you sound like?
Yeah, I sound like,
Right?
but yeah, I've said that. I've said
Right?
that multiple times, and I
But
still
if,
say it.
but if somebody comes at you and somebody says something like, "Oh, like you sound like this," well, I mean, if you sound like that, you sound like that. Like I don't know, you don't you like lose power,
Yeah.
by just allowing somebody else to make you feel a certain way about yourself. Whether you're lying to yourself or you're just not aware of your flaws,
Yep.
which is always a dangerous thing to not think that we have flaws.
Yeah.
So in the show notes, I've got a couple examples from pop culture, but for time purposes, I had a couple questions that I thought, this strategy about determining, okay, what is in the dichotomy of control, right? Things that are inside our control, things that are outside of our control. Obviously, in this situation, what we're talking about today is how other people view or see you and what they're willing to say or do a lot of times is out of our control. I can't tell you how you should see me, right? I can't
Right.
tell you how you should respond to me. But there are things that I can do. Okay, let's work on some of the insecurities I have, right? Like if I'm overweight and I don't like people talking about my weight, well, there are certain things I can do to minimize that. But also, even if I did all the right things and I'm working out and I'm eating vegetables and I'm drinking V8 energy drinks, right? Even if I do all of these things, right, there are going to be people who like I'm not going to have this 8 pack going on, right? It's just not something that's there. And if that's what I want people to think that I look like, well, then then we're living a very dangerous lifestyle.
Yep.
Um, so thinking about the stuff that's out of our control and the things that we can control, and like balding, right? Like yeah, I'm sure there's medicine and stuff like that, but the likelihood of me having my full set of hair back ever is like zero, right?
Yeah.
Right, zero.
Yeah.
So why would I be upset if somebody points out a truth that like, oh, you're glistening like Mr. Clean? Yeah, okay, Mr. Clean is very bald,
Yeah.
like, right?
But he also has a brand.
But he's got a brand and a $1 billion brand. So here are some scenarios that I came up with, to see like what do you think some people that could do, to kind of to navigate this world. So like one, um, I kind of highlighted things that people would be very aware of. A lot of people are nervous around public speaking, right? And so the one of the statements I have is, okay, so let's put ourselves in somebody's shoes who they're nervous about public speaking, and they know that when they're nervous, their color changes, their speech changes. Maybe they stutter, maybe they ramble their words together, maybe they speak too fast, right? We all have like little go-tos, the ums and the pauses, right? Things that you normally wouldn't do if you weren't full of angst.
Yep.
All right, what would we say to somebody like this? You're not a great public speaker. You don't love to do it, but you have to do it. Job says you got to do this. All right, what can this person do ahead of time or once they're in front of people to kind of prepare themselves for this?
Well, there's that. I don't know if it works, but they always say that trick of picture everybody naked. Uh, I don't know if that works or not. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you what I do, because like public speaking has not always been my thing. I remember, so when I was younger, this goes back to trauma. Um, my mom put me in one of those like kind of public speaking um, classes, and I had to
Well,
give a
look, it's
speech.
mom's fault. It's a
Yeah,
family
mom's.
fault.
Yeah, there you go. She
Very good.
put me in one of those classes. I remember, and then I had to prepare my notes. I had to put them on flashcards and get up there and say whatever it was I needed to say. But it's just like those little moments. For I don't remember the seeds that were planted. I mean, now they're coming back to me now that you're bringing them out. But it's like all these little seeds that were planted when I was younger. So now when I do public speaking, the first thing, one, I just remember, that one, they're just people, right? They're just people just like you and I, and that kind of goes back to last week's topic of
Those people,
it's
just
just,
flesh and blood. That's it.
yeah, that's
Right?
all it is. You're just people, a person, just like me. But also too, I also make a joke of myself, right? I think just like just a some like just kind of soft, obvious joke about myself, just to kind of like loosen people up. Because if I see people are like my friends, I'm much more comfortable to talk around people. So whatever the situation is, just some type of common joke that everyone in the room would get. So, for example, I work in IT or in computers, like computers. So cybersecurity is the real field. So networking and like computer networking and things like that are like common things that people in an audience that I would speak to would know. So I know people on this in this broadcast may or may not get the joke, but just sharing something lighthearted. For example, there's a network joke said, "Hey, I would tell a UDP joke, but you might not get it." So you may not get it because
Gotcha.
UDP,
Real great.
yeah, UDP is like a networking standard that it sends a packet, but it doesn't care if the other side receives it or not. So it's like I'll tell the UDP joke, but you may not get it. Um,
It's a bad dad joke.
but yeah, so pretty much.
Right.
But you could start off with something like that, and then if it doesn't land, right, you can just like just kind of make fun of yourself like as a result of it. But if I'm just kind of encouraging someone that's not familiar with or kind of nervous about public speaking, one, just remember that they're just people, and two, find a way to bring levity by making fun of yourself, which again disarms everyone, right? Because and it kind of goes back to the quote from today is like, if you beat them to the punch, right? They can't make fun of you, and it's almost like if they do make fun of you, it's kind of coming up at a way that's acceptable to you, and you can joke with them back. It's almost like you kind of giving this two-way street or this permission for people to communicate with you, and then giving the people an avenue of a way to communicate with you. Because when I'm doing public speaking, I just want to see everyone as my friend versus, oh man, I don't know these people, what they're going to say about me. Because those feelings do arise. Instead of embracing those, I rather embrace the feeling that these people are my friends. They laughed at my joke, and now I can communicate whatever the rest of the message I need to communicate with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. I've heard like people say, you can talk about things that are serious without taking yourself serious,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like there's a difference between the message and the job and the person, right? And I think a couple things that you said that I'm unpacking, right? Is one, to see people for who they are, which is just another person that's going to have another opinion. Like that's it. And you're not going to land with everyone the same way as if I'm in a meeting. Like not everything is going to stick to me either, right? Like it's just, we all have those kind of
Yep.
biases, right? The other thing I think that you said that was really spot on is this idea of if you do something that you can anticipate other people doing in like more of a volatile way. Like if you do it, you disarm them, right? Like you've taken away power, and even if they're just still being crass or whatever, but ultimately, you've kind of shielded yourself by saying you can't hurt me if
Yep.
I already know this to be true, right? Like
Yep.
I know that as a public speaker, when I am excited, I go really fast, right?
Yeah.
And I do know it's something that I've been working on, but also my brain is working faster than my mouth. And so there's like a every once in a while, and I can't stand it, and it's something that I'm working on. But if I point that out to someone, like, look, please don't be like on How I Met Your Mother and start counting up the amount of you hear in this presentation, because I'm going to get excited, I'm going to move fast, and I'm sure I'm going to use it, right? It just lets them know that I see my own flaws. Like I'm not up there professing to be the best public speaker, right?
Yep.
I'm not the person saying like, look at me, you need to all eyes on me, you need to like emulate and copy what I'm doing. No, I don't have that brass and that arrogance. And I think the danger is if you believe that you are untouchable, right? That like how dare someone else in the audience question
Yep.
what I'm saying and how I'm presenting, right? And that is it's a street that you don't want to have to navigate. And I think to the point for this quote, you can disarm people and embrace and empower yourself by being aware of your own shortcomings and just go ahead and put it on the table.
Yep. Yep. Just lay it all out, man.
Just like that's what we're going to do. I hope you learned something today, even if it's one thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
and if not, then great teacher I am, right? Like just something very simple.
But just yeah. Let's try again next week.
That's right. Let's try it again. Just please keep the messages
Yep.
even keeled.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
do we have time for one more or
Yeah. One more. Yeah. Let's do one more.
all right. I'll give you a choice here then.
Man, just throw it out there, man.
Choice. We've got
Just throw it out there. Just throw
okay,
it out
just
there.
throw it out there.
Yeah.
Um we've had to live in this virtual space every once in a while now. Like we're meeting, via, this and how embarrassing it could be when camera freezes or like you're supposed to be working from home and all of a sudden like I do it all the time. I got these dogs in here and if it's the postman's time to come by, it's loud, right? And it could be embarrassing, especially when you're trying to present yourself as somebody that's serious, right? So
Yep.
like in this virtual space, if you are to give advice to somebody who, they are not sure how to handle the freezing of their video or disconnection that happens because we all know internet all of a sudden. I'm not an IT guy, but for some reason when we have a meeting, IT stuff happens and all of a sudden like one of us is frozen or I just drop signal altogether.
Yep.
Or the child's sick today, so they're home and now they're coming down asking you for Tylenol in the middle of a meeting, right? All of these things are real world applications. Like what are ways that we can kind of help look professional in a way when we know it's not very professional.
Well, I actually think that's one of the things that helps people maintain that they're people and human, right? I think when we see everybody at the office, we also we see them in a certain light. So whether it's the dressed up, always professional looking, that type of thing. But when the whole work from home thing, just this stuff is happening all the time. And then you have so many variables, right? So if you're working from the office, you just got the office, everyone's, that's that one variable, office internet, office, the meetings, like everything's there. But work from home, you're kind of like, there's so many variables, like everybody's moving, kids, things are happening. So I like, I don't know if there's a way to I don't know, like, I guess this is more of a perception, right? You just have to kind of know that it's all right, right? And it's also one of those things that you can do to disarm, right? Because Mailman comes. Oh, it's that time again. I got to be right back, guys. Or the kids. You know how these things. Like anytime I get on a meeting, something goes on with the kids. I mean, my son is like that, right? Anytime we start a meeting, I could be on the computer all day, and as soon as the meeting starts, that's when he makes the most noise. That's when he has all the problems. That's when he needs to call daddy or mommy or what have you. It's just but I think it goes back to just being human, man. And being human, that's professional, right? It's being professional is human professional. And then maybe it's question, what does it mean to be professional?
Yeah, and what I love about it too is how much more of an authentic interaction you can have with someone when you say, okay, like you had said, in the office, we're in a much more um, controlled environment, for lack of better words,
Yep.
right? Like, the internet is pretty secure. I can close my door. I can turn off all the noises and get going, right? Working from home, or I mean, I'll just say I'll even just be completely blunt and transparent. Like when I am at, even in my building, when I'm at work, in a school, we have bell times and we have announcements, and it's like, oh, somebody, of course, we're gonna announce that three kids have to go home in the middle of like this meeting. It's pretty important, right?
Yep.
And it's one of those things where if I acknowledge this ahead of time, hey, sorry, like I'm currently in the building, but so are 480 kids. And if they call for an all call or they have things over the intercom, that's out of my control. I
Yep.
can't control that. Um, and I'm not, we have to navigate these waters. In a way where I'm still being respectful of you and your time, but you have to understand that this is like a reality of mine that I can't control. But if I put it out there, then we can have an authentic conversation, and I'm not just sitting there worried: is the internet going to go out?
Yeah.
Am I going to freeze? Are they going to do an all call? Like I've already put it out. Like, look, if anything happens like this, just let you know. I got 450 kids that are in the building today. Internet's been kind of glitchy, right? Of
Yep.
course it is because we have this meeting planned, right?
Yep.
Like something just, and it doesn't have to be a joke. It's just, it could be joke, right? We talked about that, but it could just be the self-awareness piece. And it could
Yeah.
just be like, hey, look, this is the truth. But now since I've said it, I don't need to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's already been said. I said at the beginning when we first got on, yeah, my dog's behind me. Yeah, yeah, I'm on the couch. She cuddles. Like she's gonna be up at some point. She's just gonna make her little premiere over here, and she'll go about her business. Like that's what it is. Like that's like that's what it
Yep.
is. That's a different take than me sitting here the whole time, like, oh, I really hope Camden doesn't bark. Right?
Yep.
So I think being aware and being able to be transparent with people, and it just disarms them. It strengthens you, and I think that goes back to the quote, right? The idea that don't take yourself too seriously. People said this to me when I was a kid, and I get it. Like I live by it. Like none of us make it out alive, right? Like that is the end all be all. And so you just gotta like laugh at yourself
Yeah.
before other people,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. But I always just to add to that, right? Like the whole idea of professionalism, right? Well, there's in the term of the workspace, like it's almost seen like the professionalism makes people more robotic. And I think you mentioned it a while, just in your comments about the authenticity of people having problems, right? You just kind of see that you're just an authentic person. So that I think that's kind of disarming too, right? Because it's like, hey, I'm a human being just like you. I have issues, and then you may find something that is relatable. I mean, we all those unflattering poses that you get stuck on the Zoom screen. That is a relatable issue now, right? Like, I mean, you should maybe we should be having conversations of what was the worst one, like, and it's always your mouth is always open when this when these unflattering
Or just like have it where
freezes
you close
happen.
the TV and you realize that you can catch like a $1 billion model actress and she's like making some pose. You're like, yep, you get her every time.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, man. So I mean, again, it just makes it more authentic, more human. So, and I think that part is disarming too, because if you're always seeing somebody in this kind of professional light, right, it almost like puts this image of them that's like unrealistic, right? You kind of see them as always that type of person, versus finding a way, being able to relate to those people as well. So, yeah, man, I think there, I think it's very disarming.
Yeah, I do too. And like, what's the point of stoicism from a philosophical standpoint, right? It's to live the best life that you can live, right? Like, whatever that means, however you want to internalize it and conceptually understand it.
Yep.
But to not take things too hard, to not take them too seriously, and just being honest with yourself, with your flaws. Like, I mean, how much more like levity, like how much happier can you live if you just release the idea that you have to be perfect and you have to meet the standards that other people are putting in front of you for you,
Yep.
because you're not going to meet them anyway,
Yeah.
right? Like, we're all people, we're all flawed. Like, that's just it. And I think if you can like live your life honestly, thinking, okay, these are my flaws, and what a good, think about, from a reflective standpoint, how good is it to be able to reflect on yourself and think, all right, these are my flaws, like that I know of, right? Because I mean, it also allows us to interact with other people in a much more humane way,
Yep.
right? Like, if I know like weight issues are a problem for me and I reflect on it, like, okay, that I know that's a problem for me. That's an awareness issue. For me to go out and, verbally assault someone for being heavy would not make sense, right? That, like, that's just not just. It's just not wise, and that's just like low hanging fruit. And so I think to be able to like look at what our own flaws are, also it just grounds us. Like, I mean, we've said this before off video before, but I mean, we are like granular sand, not even granular sand, like in the grand scheme of things,
Yep.
we're like the dirt, like the dust mite of dust mites, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
like, don't take it too seriously, and don't let other people make you feel a certain way about yourself. You should know this about yourself too. So
Yep.
yeah,
Absolutely.
love it. So I guess that'll wrap up today, right? You got another show that you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Um,
They're starting to show up now. So.
I'm already excited about third episode.
Yeah. There you
I
go, man.
promise I won't joke with you this time. I won't email you. I won't text you. When we sending it out? When's it going to be ready? I know.
Yeah, we'll have it done.
I know.
But you want to close it out, man?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and close out. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Hope you reflect on it this week, next couple weeks. Think about, keep in mind like what things actually are and not the symbols they represent. We like to go back to the same stuff because it's important that we continue to think about that. But also, if something bothers you because somebody said something or did something to you, think about, A, why is it bothering you? If it's a flaw, like if it's a truth, right? That's, if what they're saying is true, then why is it bothering you?
Yep.
Because it's a fact. And if it's not, then it's their opinion. And so if it's not true, then why is it bothering you?
Yeah.
So anyway, message us, leave us some comments, or give us some mailbag so we can kind of converse with you all. But thanks to my friend. I really did appreciate the talk today.
Absolutely. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye, guys.